Hey, Steve, thanks for the introduction, and thank you once again for asking me to be part of this project. My name is Dan Havey, and I am with cfninjahacks.com. And Steve invited me along today to just show you guys what is possible inside of a ClickFunnels membership site. We all know that straight out of the box, the membership sites are kind of boring and actually a little bit hard to work with. So here on the screen, you're going to see what your standard ClickFunnels membership site looks like. And believe it or not, you could take this site and with just a little bit of work, you can make it look like this. You can completely trick it out, make it all kinds of different crazy colors. You can put images in. You can do all kinds of neat stuff that'll really, really get your members excited about being on the site and really consuming your content. So in today's lesson, I don't have a whole lot of time, so all we're going to go through in today's lesson is how to trick out the lesson section over here. As you can see, we have some headers that are in black, we have other headers that are in orange, and then we have some that are indented and some that are not. And you can see as my mouse is moving up and down, the hover color changes on there. And if we go to another section, and as it reloads, you're going to see the section is very well highlighted, so people know exactly what section they are in. Now, in later lessons, if I have time, I may be able to show how you can insert these images right into the lessons here itself. In this case here, you could use this lesson to send somebody over to Steven's Secret MLM Hacks for his affiliate program. You could use these to open up certain content within the site. You could send them to off-site places. There's all kinds of things you can do just by being able to put these images in here. So the first thing we want to look at is you have to be really careful about the colors that you use to make sure that they stay congruent with the rest of your site. Because generally speaking, you're going to probably have some sort of an ad, maybe running to a landing page where you're going to capture an email address and that kind of stuff, then maybe to a thank you page, and then to the members access page before they ever get here to the actual members area where the content is. So all throughout the chain of all of those different sites, you want to be able to keep your colors consistent. So the first thing I always do is I go to Paladin, and I'm just going to show you how this works really quickly. So it's paladin.com, and you just click on here and you put in what you want to be your primary color. So maybe you were out funnel hacking somebody else and you found a really nice color that you wanted, and you just type it in right down here. And then what I like to do is just go up here and click on this so we get the triad of colors. And what I do is, for the site that we're going to build, I picked this right here as my primary color, and these here are different shades of that same color. Now, that's going to be my primary color. Obviously, the background is going to be a light color. More accurately, is going to be a subtle pattern, but that's for another day. But then here is going to be my secondary color. And what I do is when I'm in Paladin, I actually take a sticky pad and I write down what all of these colors are. I start with the lightest color, I go around to the darkest color, and then I do some of the secondary colors as well, and hopefully you can see this on my sticky pad. That way I never have to come back to Paladin again. I always know where I'm going to be able to use different colors, because so right here is the primary color. But you see here how this turned light blue in the background. That is one of the secondary, and not the secondary colors, but a lighter shade of the primary color. And then down here, again, you go back to the primary color. So there's a lot of places you can use that, including especially around borders, like the bottom border of this top section actually uses some of the darker shades of that blue. But I don't have to think about it. I just go back to my sticky pad and boom, I have the information right there. So let's go back to our this is the site already set up. So what we got is a whole bunch of lessons already put in here, so I didn't have to do this while you're watching, because hopefully you all know how to put that in. So let's open up the editor, and I'm going to open that up in a new window. And the first thing I always do inside of the editor is I change it to the version 2 editor. So you come right here before the question mark, you click and you put in underscore lowercase v number 2. Sorry, I actually messed that up. So it is underscore lowercase v number 2 and hit enter. This will pull up the new version of the editor for the membership site. It's much, much easier to work in than the old version. Now that we have our site up, we're going to want to hit the preview button because we want to see what it looks like. I had already done that here, but we'll X this one out. So now we are in our newly minted membership area. So the first thing I'm going to do is just click on these and open up all these sections. In a later lesson, I'm actually going to show you the code and give you a share funnel for the code to be able to automatically open all those upon load. And also, just to let you know, I'm going to include a share funnel of this as well. So although I'm going to walk through it really quickly, you'll be able to have the code to be able to take a look at and be able to replicate this on your own. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to make some of these black. Some of these top sections here, I want to make that black. Well, part of that is built right into ClickFunnels itself. So let's just come in here and we'll click on this category header. We'll change the background color to black, and all black is all zeros. So that just changed that to black. Let's save that and take a look. That should have changed all of these header sections to black. Okay, good. Now let's make the assumption that I'm doing a 6-week master class. I've only put in 3 weeks of it here. But let's say I'm doing a 6-week master class. And let's say I want to make these 3 here that secondary color, that orangish kind of color. So what we do is, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but just hang on. Now let me tell you, right now I'm doing this on a Mac in Chrome. And if you have a Mac and you got Chrome, that is the best way to build these sites. I'm telling you that because what I'm about to do is I'm going to inspect this element, and depending on what kind of computer you're on and depending on what operating system, what browser you're on, the inspect element function will look a little bit different, and it may have a little bit different name because it'll either see an inspect or inspect element or something like that. So we're going to click inspect. And it'll pop up real quick. And what we want to do is we want to change the background color of this box and this box and this box to that burnt orange color. So right here we have, what we're looking for is we have a div, which is just a fancy name for a section within the site. And what we want to do is we want to change that background color. Right now it's showing that the background color is that color. And actually, let's just punch it in right now. So that was pound EF 4A00. And there, I've changed the background color for us. Well, we can't do that every time by coming in here. So we have to pull out what is known as the selector, the CSS selector for this element. So how you do that is you go back up where it says div, you right click, you come down to copy and copy selector. So again, yours may look different if you're using a different browser, but you'll always have copy and copy selector. So we copied that. You can't see it, but it's all copied. Let's pull this out of here and we will put it in right here. Okay. Now we will hit carriage return. Actually, before we do that, let's put a comma at the end and then go down to the next line, because we're going to come back here and we're going to do the same thing. So for number 2, we're going to right click, inspect, pop this down. The old one was right here. Now this one is here. And you see as I move my mouse back and forth, on the left-hand side, different sections get highlighted to tell you that you're in the right section. So we go to the div again, right click, copy, copy selector, and paste. There you go. We're going to put another comma in. Got an extra space there I didn't want. And we'll go down to the third one. Same thing. Inspect. Right click. Copy. Copy selector. Put it in. Command V. And there we are. So now we have to put it into ClickFunnels. So we go back to our editor. We come down to Custom CSS. and we just simply type in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a comment just so that we know what this is, and I'm going to put in here section color. Okay, how you denote a comment is with the star and the slash. So go in here. What we're going to come back to now is we're going to grab all this code, put it right here. Then we're going to put in a left curly bracket, and we're going to type in background color colon. We need a pound EF 4A00. And in this case here, we want to put in the word important afterwards. And the reason why is because if you don't do it, that black that we already put in wants to override the orange. So by putting in the word important, it tells the computer, no, this is the one that should be the most important, and this one should override any other color. And now we will hit save and see how our site looks. Okay, and there you go. So all three of them are now orange. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want some of these sections to be highlighted more. So we want them to be uppercase or bold or anything you want to do to it. I think in this case here, let me see, what did I do with the old one? Yeah, I did a bold and an underline for those. So let's do that. So let's say for course overview, again, we're going to right click, we're going to inspect the element, and we're going to say, let's go here to A, and we're going to say font weight of bold. Okay. And then we're going to say text decoration of underline. Okay, so now we got it. So now it is underlined and bold. But one thing I noticed is it's not very dark. So let's go back in and inspect that one more time. Come back here. And the color on that, see, it's this color down here, which is kind of a gray color. Let's make that black. So we'll just color, and we'll just put in pound 000,000 again. Okay, now that really stands out nicely. So now we know what the CSS is to make that stand out. Now let's pick all the elements that we want to do that to. So again, I will right click. I will inspect that element. We're going to come right here to the A. We're going to right click it, do the same thing we did before. We are going to copy the selector, and we will come over and we will paste it in. Totally looks different than the one before. That's okay. Again, we're going to put a little comma, going to hit a carriage return. Now let's say we're going to do it with this one as well. Go to inspect. Once again, back to the A, right click, copy selector, and we will paste that in. Now, one thing you're going to notice real quickly here is it says 31-1, 31-4. Well, okay, the 3, well, the 1, let's say, the 1 after the 3, that represents this is the first section, and this is the first lesson. This is the first section, this is the fourth lesson. So as we go down to the next one, let's click here. Let's go to inspect. Right click, copy selector. So we got the second section and the first lesson. So after a while, you can figure out what the lesson numbers are going to be very quickly. So on this next one here, I want to do education-based marketing. So all I have to do is I can just type in #/32 space dash what? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, number 4. And so I'll cut right now. I will pull up all the rest of them, and then I'll show you how we get that into ClickFunnels. Okay, I now have them all inspected, and I've got the code over here all ready to go. So I have all of the elements themselves. I got the color black. I changed the font size to increase it a little bit. Weight bold, and text decoration is underline. So we will copy that and go back in to our CSS. Oops. Okay, there's the code, and we always want to put in a little comment to let us know what this is. And I'm going to say highlight lessons. Okay, we'll come out, we'll save it, reload the page, and see what it looks like. Okay, so the next thing we want to do then is to take these sections that have not been highlighted at all, and we want to indent them. And by indenting them, you're essentially creating sections within sections. You could, if you want to get really crazy, you could change the background color on the highlighted lessons and really make them look like section headers. But for the case right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to indent basically every one that has not been highlighted. So you know the drill by now. Inspect, right click, find what you're looking for, which again, you always, in this case here, you always want to go to your A. You want to right click, copy the selector, and knowing what we already know, we're going to know that all the selectors are going to be basically the ones that we haven't picked so far. So I will quickly do that up and then get back to you as soon as I'm ready to put it into the site. So I have the code done, so let's copy it, go back into our custom CSS, and give us a little room, another comment. Paste that in. And so what I did is I said, take every one of those lessons and just give it a left margin of 20 pixels, which basically means move it over to the right a little bit. And we will save that and see how it looks. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We have some highlights. We have a little break here so it doesn't look like everything's all running together. And I accidentally clicked on the attractive character. And so you see what it would look like, again, standard, straight out of the box. Somebody's looking at this. It's a little hard to see sometimes if you have a whole lot of content, you're scrolling up and down to see which lesson you're actually in. And so we want to change that. We want this, because this is the active member, we want to highlight this so that you have no doubt what it is and you can easily see it. So the simplest way to do that is let's just change the background color. We go and we once again highlight the lesson. We right click it and we go to select the element. Now, why I'm doing this on purpose to show you what we're going to come up with. We're going to come up with the same thing we had before, just this #32-3. Well, we already told #32-3 to be different. We already set the margin on that, but also that's not going to tell us what we really need to know. What we really need to know is this part right here, that it is the active member nav. Only one element will have this class of active member nav. And so we need to tell it to be able to turn the background color blue on that element. So I'm going to pause again just for a second, write out the code, and then show you what I have when I'm ready to paste it in. So right over here is the most basic thing that we're going to possibly do to this element, which is, so we're going to take the active member and we're just going to turn the background color the same as our primary background color, which is that blue color. So let's copy that and go back into CSS. Again, a quick comment. And we will save it and take a look at what it looks like. Okay, so right now as we start off, the course overview is the one that is highlighted, but let's open up the attractive character again. And we're going to see, well, we got a little bit of problem here. We need to change that background color so that it's a darker color when it is highlighted. And then we also need to change things so that when we hover over it, that the background colors change as well. But at this point here, I think you really got enough of an understanding of how you can really trick out the colors and everything. So, I mean, you're probably not an expert on CSS, but you can easily find anybody online, on Fiverr, wherever, that can trick this out for you. So if you have any questions and you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at support@cfninjahacks.com. And like I said, there's going to be a share funnel included along with this video where I'm going to finish tricking this out. So you're going to get basically a copy of what I had on as far as the CSS for this site right here. So I'm going to make it do all the fancy hacks over here, and then you'll have that available for you as well. So until the next video, which before I forget, the next video actually we're going to go into how to hack the access page, the page where your customer is going to come in and they're going to sign up for your membership. I got a couple of really cool hacks that we're going to do on that, and that's what you're going to see in the next video. Thank you and have a great day.